Tuvasa the Sunlit versus Ephara the Foremost. Yeah, seems to be a very good rush commander, this one. Don't come across it very often, but it's a difficult commander to play against whenever I do. That hand's no good, so we'll throw it away. And that is not superb, but it's better than the last one. I actually quite like Maze of Ith against an Ephara. A Wild Growth is something to do on turn 2 other than Seal of Cleansing, so yeah, we'll just get down a tapped Breeding Pool and throw it over to our opponent. Tuvasa the Sunlit is a 1/1 bank commander, gets +1/+1 per enchantment we control, and whenever you cast your first enchantment spell each turn you draw a card. We can actually get down the Seal of Cleansing as well, can't we? So let's... Don't typically want to use Wild Growth on a non-basic because they're easy to blow up with Wasteland and Tech Edge and things like that. But we don't really have much of a choice here. I'm just going to have to try and outramp our opponent, and their mana seems to be pretty goofy here. They've got Rupture Spire, which enters tapped, and they get to add 1 mana of any colour, but that's pretty slow. Yeah, we'll go for our Tuvasa here. Let's see why we wouldn't. And then we'll just get down the Hinterland Harbour. And Tuvasa enters as a 3/3 thanks to the 2 artifacts, the 2 enchantments that we've already got in play. And Ephara the Foremost is Abzan for a 4/4. When it attacks, put a plus counter on another target tapped creature you control. If a non-token creature an opponent controls would die, or a creature card not on the battlefield would be put into an opponent's graveyard, exile it instead. So it's basically Leyline of the Void for creatures. Now our opponent has managed to get rid of our Tuvasa with a Hero's Downfall. So I'm just going to go for Karmic Justice, just to discourage our opponent from making such plays. Unfortunately, don't draw a card with that. Nope, and I didn't play the Maze of Ith. Hopefully we don't... Well, I wouldn't mind if we draw into a land next turn, but if we don't, then it doesn't matter that we miss the Maze of Ith. Now, there's something that I wanted to bring up with all of you, and it's a real life something that happened to me, and I want to pass it by all of you so that you can tell me if this is strange or not. I went to my local supermarket. Went to buy food like you do at the local supermarket. I was with my partner, and we were walking back. We had all the shopping, and we were walking back to the car. And we noticed in the middle of this car parking space was not a car, but a crow was picking at something, and we just assumed it was some litter on the floor, some bits of rubbish or whatever it was. Oh, a reclamation sage. Going after Karmic Justice, that doesn't feel good. Perhaps should have gotten down Greater Auramancy first. Karmic Justice will be able to go after... We'll go after the Rupture Spire, so that our opponent is forced to pay life for mana. Yeah, so there was this bird pecking away at stuff in the middle of this car park. Get down the Maze of Ith and go for Greater Auramancy, so our opponent can't do that stuff again. And we noticed that the bird was actually, we thought it was after food, but it was actually pecking away at this purse that was on the ground. And it was one of those purses that's quite wide, you know, the wide purses that ladies tend to have. And, you know, we wandered over to pick it up. Obviously, if someone's lost their purse, it's fallen out of the car or whatever it is, then we obviously want to return that. And it's already open. And we don't know if it's open because there was no cash in it, you see. So we don't know if someone's opened it, taken the cash out and thrown it on the ground, or if it was the crow that opened it. We don't know what the script is there, but we decided to look for ID anyway. So, and it's a real mess of a purse. There's all these compartments for cards and things, but it's all just been thrown in there. So I'm flicking through all the old receipts, and there's like gift vouchers and stuff like that. We are not doing well this game. Let's go for Miri's Guile. Hopefully that'll help us out. And then O-Ring onto the Swiftfoot Boots, so we don't have to deal with Anafenza, I think, is okay. Don't really like casting all my enchantments without enchantresses on the field, but yeah, we'll get rid of that. We start flicking through, and it's a complete mess of a purse. So I'm flicking through, and it's receipts and things like that, and we come across a check, and I don't think anything of it. It's just a check, but I saw out the corner of my eye the word 1,000. Okay, and that coloured me intrigued, but I thought, well, I won't pry. I'll just keep searching. And then my partner said, well, maybe the name of the individual is on the check. So I think, oh, well, that's a good idea. I can kill two birds with one stone here, find the person's name and feed my curiosity. And I thought it was just a check for £1,000 just because I read the word 1,000, and that's where my mind initially jumped to. It was a check for £20,000. Hell of a lot of money in anyone's eyes. And, I think it's strange that someone's just carrying around a check for 20 grand. But hey, maybe they didn't have, I should have mazed there. Maybe they didn't have a chance to go to the bank, So anyway, keep flicking through, and we're looking for a driving license or some kind of ID or something like that. Eldamri's call could get us into the manor we need, as could Green Sun Zenith. I think we Green Sun Zenith for something here. Yeah, I don't like getting rid of the Journey to Nowhere, but I think I'm going to make a tempo play here. We'll draw into the Green Sun Zenith next turn. We'll just go for Journey to Nowhere here on the Anafenza. Yes, and we'll leave it at that. Yeah, so a check for £20,000 and think, oh, well, it's not illegal to have a check for 20 grand, so we keep flicking through. Receipt, loyalty cards, all kinds of stuff in this wallet. And then we come across another check. Now, the previous 20 grand check was tied to a bank account of an individual called Dr. something or other. And we come across another check, and that check is tied to another bank account, so it's been given to this individual by the owner of another account, completely different name on it, and this check is completely blank. Now, that to me sets alarm bells ringing, that you've got a check that is so much money, and then you've got another check, supposedly from a completely different individual, and that one's blank. I can't dream up a scenario in which that's okay. And we know that it's not the owner of the purse's check for her to write out to someone else, because we actually found the check was written out to this individual on the 20 grand one, so we had the name there, but we actually eventually found a driving license there. And we know that her name wasn't either of the names that the checks were tied to. So we walk across the road, the police station's just across the road, and of course, because it's the UK and it's a Saturday at 12 o'clock in the afternoon, there was no police in the police station. It was actually closed, because that's what the UK's like. Estrid's Invocation on Journey to Nowhere, I quite like, actually. Yeah, we're really just trying to kill time here. Want to tell the story, but and make it difficult for our opponent to keep this Anafenza in play. Estrid's Invocation will flicker every turn, so we can do Journey to Nowhere every turn, effectively. Oh, and there we go. Our opponent sees that. They've got 4 cards in hand, so they might not like the fact that they need 2 more mana to get down Anafenza, but we probably will just keep Journeying to Nowhere that. I'll get another game of Tuvasa going, and where I'm not wittering on throughout the entire video. I'll carry on with the story in the next video. Tuvasa the Sunlit, and this time we're up against Ephara, god of the Polis. I don't particularly love that hand, but we can get into Tuvasa on turn 3, and if our opponent gets down a boatload of creatures that we don't like, we can Supreme Verdict. Yeah, we'll keep that. They might be able to flicker things in response to a Supreme Verdict, but if we get it down fairly quickly, I'm not too worried about that. Worst case scenario, Stony Silence might be of some use to us. We'll just get down a tap land with the Verdant Catacombs, I think. That can be a green and a blue source, I think. Ephara, god of the Polis, is a 4-mana Azorius commander. We actually play this one on the channel. It's a 6/5 indestructible and it's only a creature when your devotion to Azorius is 7 or more. And at the beginning of each upkeep, if you had another creature enter under your control last turn, you draw a card. Okay, yeah, another land for us. Let's just pretend to hold up counter magic. No, we'll go for Stony Silence, actually. Yeah, just in case our opponent gets down like a mana crypt into several soul rings and all the rest of it that tends to happen with 1 versus 1 commander. And this might get counter magic out of their hand as well, actually. But yeah, what I was saying in the last game is we went to hand it into the police station, and of course it's the UK, so the police station isn't open on a weekend. And so we were debating, do we want to go the next town over? And yeah, it looks like they do have counter magic. Essence Scatter. They're not making land drops though, which we are, so we can get another one out on turn 5. Probably Nevermore next turn on the Ephara. Yeah, do we want to go the next town over and hand it in there? And then is it likely that this individual, before they've cancelled all their cards and gotten a new driver's license sent out and all that stuff, got the checks cancelled, are they really going to call every police station within a 10-mile radius or within a 20-mile radius just in case it's been handed in at that particular one? It doesn't seem likely. So we had the driver's license, and I don't know what it's like in other countries, but in the UK you have your address on your driver's license, and it just so happened that this was about a 5-minute drive away, as you might expect really, because this individual obviously was at their local supermarket, so that's where they lost their purse. I didn't trust handing it in. Ooh, they're really packing the counter magic. I didn't trust handing it in at the supermarket because we've actually handed in things, or we've had other people hand things into supermarkets before. And then when we've called to see if something we've lost is there, we've been told no when it actually is there. And it's been a huge fight to get the thing back because basically the person on the phone can't be bothered getting into lost property and actually checking, so they just pretend to check and then say no. That sounds unbelievable, but that's absolutely happened to us. So we didn't want to hand it in there. The address was only 5 minutes away, and we drove there and posted it through the letterbox, and we left it there. And my partner wanted to knock on the door just to make sure that someone got it, but I didn't really want to do that because I didn't do it for the fact that I wanted some kind of gratitude or some kind of some kind of gratitude and someone to say, oh, thank you, you're a lifesaver, blah blah blah. I just did it because I like to think someone would do it for me. And see if we see more counter magic here. No, we get to stick our Tuvasa. I think I'd like to go for Auramancer onto Nevermore if we can. Oh, no, there's removal from our opponent. So part of it was that, and part of it was the number of times I've done something kind for an individual only to get an idiotic look in return. You know what I mean? Like, you'll do something good for someone and then a complete stranger, and sometimes you'll get, someone being kind and saying thank you and all the rest of it. But a lot of the times as well, you'll get someone looking at you like you're an idiot and what the hell are you doing at my house, and what were you thinking bringing this back to me? I don't know what thoughts are going through their head, but it's certainly not a thought of gratitude. And I didn't want to be really annoyed by that happening. So I'd rather just post it through the letterbox, through the front door of this individual, and choose to believe that they were really grateful and really happy that someone did that for them. Now, whether that's the case or not, I'll never know. But that's what we did anyway. Just posted it through the front door and walked away, and that was the last of it. But I just wanted to know if that was strange, if I'm missing something, because I think that's really weird that someone had a check for 20 grand from one individual, a doctor, whoever, and then had another check that is completely blank tied to a completely different bank account. Like that says to me that I can't really accuse this individual, but that says to me that this individual could be committing fraudulent acts. You know, like you could be writing out these checks and cashing for however much you want. You know, even if it's just, it doesn't have to be 20 grand. It could just be like £100, and you hope that the individual doesn't notice. I don't know. There's just something strange about that to me. How about we go for Thassa? I'd like to go for Auramancer onto the Nevermore, but I'm not sure what to say with Nevermore now that Ephara's in play. What's a good Ephara? We could say Brago with that. Yeah, let's go for Nevermore. So the Auramancer, when it enters, we can fish out an enchantment from our graveyard. But yeah, just let me know if that's strange. There might be something that I'm completely missing that is just totally obvious, but I can't think of what that might be. I just, something's really fishy about that to me. And actually, the thought at the time, it didn't cross my mind, but I did think afterwards what we could have done is taken the blank check and written it out for, you know, £50 or whatever we think we could have gotten away with, you know, written it out for X amount of money ourselves and then cashed it. And, you know, obviously, well, the thought didn't even cross my mind, but obviously we wouldn't do something like that. But yeah, just carrying around a blank check in your purse like that, if you're just gonna lose it, that's pretty risky stuff. You shouldn't be carrying around blank checks just in case that happens. And our opponent getting down their own Thassa here. We've got Thassa in the deck. She's a good creature on her own, a good enchantment on her own. We get to scry every turn. But she goes well with, let me look over at the deck list. What is the name? Okay, our opponent making that thing unblockable with Thassa. Yeah, I'll have a look in a minute. I can't, I'm holding up my opponent here. Making all the permanents into enchantments makes Tuvasa absolutely massive. And then Thassa can make her unblockable, and we can swing in for commander damage straight away near enough. Let's go for... We'll go for the Thassa first of all. I quite like having her in play. Okay, Imprisoned in the Moon on Ephara is good. Yeah, I don't mind that. Not one part of me minds that. Oh, actually, not a creature, is she? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, and our opponent's a fair old ways away from having Ephara become a creature. Yeah, let's go for Rest in Peace now. In our Ephara deck, we use Snapcaster Mage. Because it pulls double duty, we can cast things from our graveyard, but also it's a creature entering on our opponent's turn, which doubles up the draws on Ephara. And let's make Tuvasa unblockable, because we can start to threaten commander damage on our opponent here. 21 commander damage we need to deal to our opponent for that to be the case. Enchanted Evening is the card I was thinking of. All permanents are enchantments in addition to their other types. That's a 5 mana Azorius enchantment. And if Tuvasa gets +1/+1 for each enchantment you control, I mean, as it stands now, she would suddenly become a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, a 15. Well, if the Enchanted Evening was in play, she'd be a 16, a 17, 17. So you can see the interaction there, and if our opponent can't block, then, well, they pretty much need spot removal, or they die on the spot. Down comes the Whirler Rogue for our opponent, so that is a card draw next turn for Ephara. Whirler Rogue throws out a couple of Thopters, and I think there's another ability on this. Tap 2 untapped artifacts you control, and a target creature can't be blocked this turn. Looks like this is some kind of unblockable tribal. Okay, I will block here. I mean, that doesn't bother me. They might want to flicker in response, but they don't really gain anything from that. And they don't get to embalm because of the Rest in Peace. This exiles everything from graveyards, so nothing ever dies with that. Okay, Sol Ring. Feels bad to put Sol Ring on the bottom, but we're not struggling on mana, so I'd Yeah, I'd like to draw into something else. Eternal Witness does absolutely nothing for us. So let's just hurt our opponent's mana a little bit. We'll get rid of the Prairie Stream. And then we can... Let's Imprisoned in the Moon. I don't know if this is enchant a creature, land, or planeswalker. I don't know if Ephara becomes unanimated. If the Imprisoned in the Moon will fall off her. I'm not sure how that works. I need to look this up after the game and I'll try and edit in the answer if I manage to find out. But just because I don't know, I'm going to Imprisoned in the Moon, the Whirler Rogue, just to draw a card. And we just get into a forest, so I'm glad I did that. Because I don't want to draw into a forest next turn. Tuvasa is up to a 6/6. So we're really threatening commander damage on our opponent here. In come the Thopters, that's just 2 damage to us. We are going to outrace our opponent if they don't have anything for us. It's unfortunate that we're not really getting into as many enchantments as I would like, but we at least have half a chance of drawing into an enchantment with the Scry from Thassa. Okay, and that hurts us. That's a Chroma's Vengeance. I mean, it at least switches on the Eternal Witness again. Oh, an Eidolon of Blossoms we definitely want. So we'll put that on top. Now then, how much does Tuvasa cost nowadays? Yeah, she's up to 9 because our opponent removed it so much. 2, 4, 6, 8, and, well, would you look at that? We have 9. I'm going to get her down first, because then we can go Eidolon of Blossoms. We'll draw a card from Tuvasa for casting that, and then Eidolon of Blossoms will draw a card for itself. And then we're not swinging in with Tuvasa because she has Summoning Sickness. And we can't make her unblockable. Yeah, the Eidolon of Blossoms is one of our Enchantress cards. When it or another enchantment enters, you draw a card. Oh, Duplicant as well. That's 4 cards in our opponent's hand, and they're going to draw another card next turn thanks to Duplicant entering. Put a land on top. No, I'll risk putting one on the bottom. Okay, Fertile Ground makes that feel a little bit better. Do we want to Supreme Verdict now? I think so. Because I won't want a Supreme Verdict while the Eidolon of Blossoms is in play, and we can get back the Supreme Verdict with Eternal Witness anyway, so let's go for Supreme Verdict. That's uncounterable, and it blows everything up. And then we go Fertile Ground onto a Forest. And then we go 1, 2... we'll just add another green. Oh, and I did that wrong, didn't I? I'm just in autopilot mode. Should have gone for the Eidolon of Blossoms first before I did that. Oh well. Yeah, we could have drawn an extra card there. So that's unfortunate. And Enchantress's Presence is good for next turn. That means that when we cast enchantments, we'll be able to draw a couple of cards. Yeah, we'll just leave it at that. See if our opponent can put another creature into play. They're struggling a little bit on mana. They've got lots of colourless... Yeah, another colourless land in Reliquary Tower. They've got Field of Ruin. They can destroy a non-basic land, so we don't need to worry about our Fertile Ground. The basics are actually difficult to get rid of in 1 versus 1. Okay, there's Heliod, so there's 4 gods in play. And then Intrepid Hero. That is destroy a target creature with power 4 or greater, which kills our Tuvasa. We've got Sterling Grove, so we can go for that Enchanted Evening play if we want to, which I think I might want to. Let's just set up. We'll go for Enchantress's Presence first. That'll draw us a card with the Eidolon of Blossoms. Aura Shards doesn't help us because the gods are indestructible, but we can at least draw a card with that. Let's go for Sterling Grove. This will draw us a couple of cards with Enchantress's Presence and the Eidolon of Blossoms. Okay, that's a land drop for the turn. Yeah, I think we're just drawing cards this turn, I think. Okay, Eladamri's Call. Dryad Arbor. Yeah, we'll go for the Aura Shards just for the sake of having it in play, and then we can Eladamri's Call on our opponent's turn. We obviously draw more cards doing that as well. And we will swing in with the Eidolon of Blossoms just to get some more damage on our opponent. The Intrepid Hero isn't something we're really worried about. Okay, I'm just going to yield here because I want to have a look through the deck list and see what we can get with Eladamri's Call. If I can give Tuvasa hexproof somehow, that'd be really good because we can go for the Enchanted Evening and try and get commander damage off on our opponent with Sterling Grove. But we need to be able to swing in with Tuvasa, which we can't because this thing will kill it. So yeah, giving her hexproof will be good. Okay, the Ephara is animated now. Okay, it doesn't feel particularly good, but I'm going to go for a Quarantine Field here. Off of the Sterling Grove. It'll draw us cards, but it'll also get rid of these two. I don't want this in play because if we're going to try and get down Tuvasa yet again and deal damage, then we need this thing out of play because this will be able to kill Tuvasa quite easily. Yeah, so we'll put that back on top with Thassa. And then it's a case of putting 2 into X twice. And we obviously need to pay the white as well. I might actually try and get rid of a lot of our opponent's stuff. We can get rid of the Thopter Spy network there. And the Thassa. And the Heliod. Yeah, so it's a lot of mana, but it'll at least cantrip itself a few times. Okay, Sigil of the Empty Throne is really good, actually. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That gets rid of all of our opponent's stuff unless they can get rid of the Quarantine Field. And then we'll play the Wooded Foothills and hold up Eladamri's Call again. Oh, and there's Enlightened Tutor as well. So we might still be able to go for our Enchanted Evening play. Yeah, let's get in on our opponent again. Yeah, at this point I'm really trying to get a certain win off. I've never been able to make use of the Enchanted Evening, so I'm really trying to show that to all of you here. Okay, Jace Memory Adept. I think that's the mill one, isn't it? 0, mill 10, yeah. I mean, if our opponent wants to mill us, they're welcome to. I'm going to crack this in response, just in case we mill the land that we want. And the one we want is Temple Garden, because we want access to Celestia for the Eladamri's Call. Okay, they're just going to draw a card and mill us 1. Eladamri's Call does put it into our hand, doesn't it? Yes, it puts it into our hand, so we're safe to do that. Let's just go for it now in case we mill the card that we're tutoring for here. I think we're going to go for Sun Titan so that we can get the Sterling Grove back. And that way we can get a consistent tutor off with that. And also, if they start trying to mill us, then it might make the Sun Titan even better. They get rid of a Mirari's Wake for us, which actually would have been handy next turn. Actually, I would have actually quite liked that. A Forest is okay to go on the bottom. And I'm going to Enlighten Tutor here. So it doesn't actually matter where we scried that to, does it? But we knew that we weren't getting into anything particularly great there. Let's go for the Enchanted Evening. And then obviously we draw into that. We can take the stop off the upkeep now. Now then, how much is Tuvasa? It's 8, 9, 10, 11. I'm just going to assume that we've got enough. Aura Shard shows up. We'll try and blow up the Darksteel Citadel. But obviously that is an indestructible artifact land, so we're not going to be making much use of that. And then we'll get down the Dryad Arbor, get Summoning Sickness off that, plus it's the only land that we can actually play this turn. That's in here to go with the Green Sun Zenith, because you can get out a land on turn 1 with the Green Sun Zenith. And we'll get out Soul Snare. This will draw us 3 cards. Darksteel Mutation is good to have. And Seal Away. Right, now we're actually... Yeah, if we just get an enchantment down next turn, we could just go Sigil of the Empty Throne and swing in at our opponent for lethal there, because Tuvasa is already... I'm going to pretend I'm distracted by Jace here. Yeah, Tuvasa is already a 9-9, so if we make her a 10-10, that'll mean that we swing through for 21 commander damage next turn. So we'll see if our opponent's got an answer for that. What we'd like to do is show Enchanted Evening. All the permanents that are on the field will become enchantments in addition to their other types. This detracts or it dissuades our opponent from using Merciless Eviction and Austere Command, because that would actually blow up every permanent on the board apart from the indestructible ones thanks to this. So it detracts from that, but it also makes Tuvasa absolutely huge. +1/+1 per permanent in play she would get at that point. Eldrazi Displacer will draw our opponent a card. Oh no, it won't, thanks to Ephara not being in play. Yeah, she's still in the command zone. So it looks like our opponent's just looking to get a blocker in play. But we do have Thassa to make Tuvasa unblockable. Venser is exile a permanent you own, so they can't exile ours. Yeah, okay. Not sure what they want to do with that, really. Okay, they're exiling their Darksteel Citadel, and that will come into play untapped. I'm surprised they haven't done that with a coloured source, actually. They obviously don't have counter magic held up. Or maybe they do, and it only costs 1 blue mana. And then the Darksteel Citadel comes back into play untapped. Okay, let's attempt to show off Enchanted Evening. We have a land, but yeah, we'll draw into another one. We'll go Enchanted Evening. We draw a bunch of cards thanks to that, because it is obviously an enchantment. And hopefully our opponent is a good sport and just plays it out, because we want to see how big Tuvasa gets here. I mean, we can work it out anyway, but it's just fun to see the big numbers. Unless they've got a counter spell. Exile another target creature. Okay, so they can just tap down Tuvasa basically. We're going to allow that to go into exile. I mean, we still get to see just how big she gets with Enchanted Evening. And there we go, look at that. She is a 26/26. I'll just remove that exile thing. Yeah, I should have gone for this. Well, they could have done this in response anyway, so I don't feel too bad for forgetting about Eldrazi Displacer. I thought it could only target our opponents, their own stuff, but it can target ours as well, so yeah, there's that. Let's go for Sol Ring. We're down on the clock now because I was yaddering so much, so need to be quick now. Yeah, I actually completely forgot about that. The Aura Shards goes really well with the Enchanted Evening, and because it turns everything into an enchantment, we can actually, every time a creature enters, we can just use it as spot removal to blow up our opponent's lands. So I should have been doing that. Also, the Darksteel Mutation will fall off once our opponent flickers with Venser. So we need to make use of Sun Titan, I think. They can only flicker their own Eldrazi Displacer once here. Oh, and our opponent scoops there. They might have had us on the clock there because we were having to mess around a bit. We could have played the Sun Titan and gone for something. I don't even know what we would have gone for there, but Yeah, we could have gone for the Sun Titan, probably onto Sterling Grove. That would have drawn us a bunch of cards, and it also would have got on a... No, it wouldn't have got us an Angel, but it would have triggered the Aura Shards. We could have blown up a land. And then if we cast an enchantment in Mirari's Wake, or a few enchantments, we could have gotten some Angels. That would have triggered Aura Shards even more. And basically we could have just blown up a lot of our opponent's lands. And then they wouldn't have been able to flicker with the Eldrazi Displacer. We could have tried to blow up the Eldrazi Displacer with Aura Shards, actually. And they could have flickered it in response, but then we wouldn't have had to play around that anymore. Yeah, I'm not sure what exactly we would have done there, but something along those lines, using the Enchanted Evening and the Aura Shards combination. So Enchanted Evening doing a few things there. It keeps our opponent from wiping the board of enchantments, because it would literally blow up every permanent that isn't indestructible. It makes Tuvasa massive, which goes well with an unblockable Tuvasa thanks to Thassa. And it also means that every creature that enters, we can blow up our opponent's lands with Aura Shards. So plenty going on there thanks to Enchanted Evening, and I'm glad I got to show it off to you. Let me know what you think about the whole check scenario and the strange purse at the supermarket. Sounds like a weird, some kind of weird crime novel. But anyway, hope you all enjoyed that, me rambling on about stupid things, and Tuvasa the Sunlit gameplay. I'm tribalkai on the EDH channel. Thank you for watching.